in our machine, and yeah, we already have the scan the IP address of the machine, which is 116. And over here we have an interface which has a display, so this is your pop-up. Who are you, hacker? Sorry, this site can be accessed by local. Yeah, so I doesn't know about this thing. So first thing first, we're gonna do the reconnaissance. So over here we can see that port 22 is open there, which is, and we can see the version OpenSSH 6.6.1 and port 8, which is our HTTP get head pose options supported over here. And over here we have HTTP server header, which is our Apache 2.4.7, and the title doesn't contain any text. So what we're gonna do over here, we're gonna try to check all the possibilities one by one. So let's try if we can find any misconfiguration services on the server side. So I'm gonna use Nikto, host, and the IP address. So what I can see over here, retrieve X power header, which is your PHP. The server side is running PHP, so PHP program. Anti-clickjacking framework is not present over here. X protection is not defined. XSS protection. Remember these things. Anti-clickjacking is basically used for your clickjacking attack, which is your owasp top 10. Cross-site XSS protection header is basically used to prevent the website from cross-site scripting vulnerability. And over here we can see we have an entry which saying hey yo.txt, which is a robot, which is in robot.txt part. And as per the thing, we know about the robot.txt. It's a file which is basically used for prevent the crawlers to detect any sensitive informations. So we have config file directory indexing found. So let's try one by one all these things. So let's try with the config first of all. So in the config file, in the config thing, we can see there is a directory. This is an index.php file. And over here, what we can see, there is nothing. So let's have a look over here one by one. So I'm going to download this file and see what will happen. CD desktop. Let's use wget. Wget to fetch the file from the specific URL, and I'm going to use the config.php. And over here we can see config.php, and this was totally empty. Okay, there was nothing over there. So the most important part, you have to record the entire website. You need to find all the things one by one. So index.php doesn't have anything. Okay, it doesn't have anything. Just a config.php files and other service files. What else we have over here? We have miscellaneous. There's no need of miscellaneous directory. But let's have a look on this one. Process.php. Again, there is nothing. There's a blank. I guess this might be also blank. Wget to fetch the file. There is no data. See over here. There is no data over there. This is empty data. There is no use. Let's try with the robot.txt file. So the robot.txt file path. What we can see over here. So robot.txt is also used for manipulating or for preventing from the crawlers to identify sensitive directories on the server side. And over here, as we know, there was a text file, which is your heyho.txt file. So let's try this one. What exactly this file is for. Okay, so they have a pop-up over here. Great. What you need to now is recon, attack and get the shell. So as per I told you that reconnaissance is a part where you need to find all the possibilities one by one in the server side. You have to check the source code if you can see any sensitive information which is posted over there. Developers post sensitive information and they are not aware about when to delete those things because they publish their website or applications on the source code level. So our major objective over here, we're going to try to check all the possibilities one by one. Let's see the source code. No, there's one other thing. So remember in the pen testing part, there is a module called SAST. SAST. SAST is a methodology on the penetration testing. Is basically used to check all the source code review. Source code review is basically one of the penetration testing part where you have to check any of the sensitive information and the flow of the application or the web application part. So all I can see is a simple website. Let's try the recon part again. This time I'm going to use the Buster. Let's try number of threads. User, share. Let's try word list. The Buster. Let's use any of this one. So we know that the server is running PHP, so I didn't mention any other programming languages as per the extension, and let's start. So our major objective of this Buster is to simply find the sensitive directories on the server side, which can reveal some sensitive informations. And over here, what I can see, we have some response code from the server side, which is your one icon, config.php, process.php. Some index is the normal thing. And we can see these things in a normal tree view part. This is also important to identify all the case studies. So my major concern would be check all the things one by one. If you do simply recon part, it will help you a lot to identify the things. So let's wait for the scanning part, and if we can find any relevant thing, so that would be good for us. So 40 seconds has been left. Yeah, I guess most of the scan has been done. There's nothing on the server side. Okay, there is there is a server status, but it's 403, which is forbidden, and we are not able to access those things. Forbidden. Okay, so I'm going to stop this one because I didn't find any relevant data on the server side, which can help me out for some specific other things. Okay, let's try over here. So we have a message on the screen which is saying, "Who are you, hackers?" This side can be accessed by local. So what does this mean over here? Access by the local means we are on the own environment part. So this machine is vulnerable to host header injection attack. Host header is an attack where when a client request is rewrite to a different resource. You might be seeing this one, for example, host header injection medium. Try to read most of the times medium reports. The host header specify which website or which application should process any incoming HTTP request. For example, www.google.com, www.youtube.com or facebook.com. It's a host means the target website name, URL name. The web server uses the value of this header to dispatch the request to the specific website for the web application. And each web application hosted on the same IP address is commonly referred as the virtual host. See this one. I mostly check the medium reports because they help me a lot to understand the vulnerability types, because there are lots of other pen testers. They use those things one by one. So over here, you can see they have given X forwarded host. X forwarded host header is basically your header, which can be redirect the client request to a different one. So for example, let me show you over here one more thing. Host header injection. So what happens if we specify an invalid host header? If we specify invalid host header, it will not proceed to any of the website. Most web servers are configured to pass unrecognized host header on the first virtual machine. It's possible to send requests with arbitrary host header to first virtual host. The first virtual host means the target, which is your google.com or facebook.com. We added a second header, which is your X forwarded. See this one, what I'm talking about. Let's intercept this request. These are your headers, and see, there's a host over there. This host is redirecting the client request to the specific IP address or the domain name. And if you want to redirect this website to a different one, all you have to do is to specify a website. For example, most of the attackers, what they do, they simply accept the request and they check for host header injection attack. So as per the data, see, they have given X forwarded host to www.bing.apk.com. They simply add a new tag, a new header over there, and that would be X forwarded host. So X forwarded host will be redirect the client request to this a different subdomain. So it will react like this is a part of my own web target. And if we get a 200 response code, but over here we can see we have the 200 response code, but we are redirect to the normal website. See, X powered by show response in browser. Let's see if we can if we redirect the client request to a different one. No, we didn't, because we can see there's a 200, but we didn't find anything relevant. So our major objective of this machine is to simply check the penetration part of the host header injection. So we're gonna try to check all the possibilities. So see, they're gonna tell you about all the possibilities one by one which can be used. For example, we are using this is a normal host.bing.com. Let's try this one. So let's see the source code. Not this one. So they have mentioned one thing on the screen. Maybe you can search for how to use X forwarded for. X forwarded for is basically used for the internal server. See this one, X forwarded for, and there was X powered for. Let me intercept this one. X powered by. So if you look for X forwarded for header, X forwarded for. What do you X forwarded to a header is navigate to the template within the general tab. X forwarded for the checkbox means redirect the client request. When finished changing the profile, what X forwarded host identify the original host and port requested by the client in the host HTTP request header. This header helps you to determine the original host. Means over here, this is a specific host over here, and we're gonna use the X forwarded to access the local host server. If we can access the local host header, we can simply proceed to our exploitation part. So sorry. So let's use X forwarded for, and it was saying that you can access the server by the local host. So the local host IP address, if you see over here, is your LO, which is your 127.0.0.1. This is the local host which each and every server have. So let's try this one. What you can see over here. So let's access his local host if you can simply get anything. 302. 302 indicates that we find something, and that is your page.index. Let's see over here, but we can show response in browser. Still we didn't find anything. Local host, nothing. Okay, I guess the X was small or what? No. Forwarded for. So there is a small mistake over here. Let's try to get access the local host with index.php. Yes, so we're gonna use if we can access the index.php file from the local host server. Let's try over here. Index.php. Okay, let's see. Show response in browser. Again, we are not having the server. Okay, so let's do one thing.
index.php के बाद कुछ नहीं आएगा क्या स्लैश ऐसे
नहीं उसके बाद कुछ नहीं आएगा मैं वही देख रहा था okay. So let's go to the repeater. So let's forwarded for localhost and we have index.php. Let's see what can happen. Drop the packet. Where's the mistake? X forwarded for localhost. Index.php. What else we have? Localhost IP address. Okay. Why I'm not able to access this server? Because I'm using the localhost. Index.php should be there. Show response in browser. Now it's working fine. Yeah, sorry. We have to specify the question mark parameter page is equal to index, and we were trying index.php. See this one? Page is equal to the parameter which contains the data type. So over here we can see we have a 200 response code. It means we can access the localhost server in a normal way with the help of X forwarded form. So if we check one by one, over here on the screen we can see welcome to Cabin Crop, inspiring the people to great again. We have home, login, register. But we have one issue. Then when I'm simply visiting, I'm clicking any of the website over here, it's redirecting the client request to the same. See, whenever I'm clicking the server side, it's redirecting to any of the requests. We have login, we have registers. See. So for this thing, what we can try to simply get all the possibilities one by one on the server side. And over here, in the BurpSuite, we're gonna use some applications over here to balance the query over here. Balance the query means we have to simply specify all the possibilities one by one. So over here, we're gonna go to the projects extenders. We're gonna go to the burp, and over here, I'm gonna use a new thing, which is my add custom headers. Why I'm using the add custom header? Because we're gonna simply use for the session handling. You can see add update custom HTTP headers from session handling rules. This specify users to for session website token. And over here, basic users, you can see select add custom headers tab and enter the header name and hard-coded values, which is our 1270.1. Select the project options, which is your sessions, add a session handling rules, and you can try one by one. So we can install this one because over here I'm not able to execute any queries because when I'm clicking any of the part, it's redirect to me the same website because this application can be accepted on the local server. So we have added a custom server. So one by one, we're gonna try all the things one over here. So first thing first, we're gonna add our custom header. You can name this one. You can simply put the values. You can try whatever you want over here. And let's see. Header name would be our X forwarded for. Wait. So we're gonna specify X forwarded for. And we can specify the value, which that was our local host. Let's use regular expression token, hard-coded value. Okay, insert your value token. So that would be our one. Sorry. Okay, so this one is taking some time over here. Okay, some of the issues are arising over here. Let's see. No. Access token, regular expressions, or this is the hard-coded value that we want. Header value prefix, X forwarded for. Let's do add to scope. Yes, add to scope, enable this one. Show scope item only. Specific URL you want to match. Okay, there's a new thing over here. Issue handler. Okay, so I'm gonna check this one later on. Let's let's try a different method over here. Yeah, so This machine would be a difficult one. Why? Let's see. So I'm going to use the show response in browser. So over here we have login, we have registers. So first thing first, I'm going to intercept the packet over here, and let's try with the login part. Yeah. So login page. So let's send to repeater. And we're going to use the same as X forwarded form to get access to the local server. Yeah, we can see 200 over there. So show response in browser. Proxy should be drop. Yeah, we have a proper username and password field. So we're going to try SQL injection over here. First thing first, whenever you see username and parameters, try every combinations over there. So let's try interception on, and I'm going to intercept the packet. So we have the username and password over here with the parameter value that we have inserted. Let's send to repeater, drop the packet. So in the repeater, we're going to modify all the possibilities one by one. And remember, this machine can be accessed by the local server. So we have to use X forwarded form. So let's try single quote or function 1 is equal to 1, minus minus. So this is a space. So remember to use plus over here. Or if you want to check the error, you can try backslash first of all. Alert login failed. Let's try one over here also. Same response code. There is nothing different. So it means there is no SQL injection on the server side, which can be help us for the leading part. So our major objective of this one is to simply penetrate all the skills one by one, which can be lead us for information gathering part. Okay, let's try if we can get a Boolean SQL injection or not. Sometimes if we can find a parameter, we have to try the Boolean SQL injection. So let's try a single quote plus or 1 is equal to 1 plus minus minus space. The major objective of the plus is basically a free space over there to encode it from the URL execution. And we can see we still have an error. If we remove this plus over here, this will be not a query according to the username parameter part. See, so there is no SQL injection. So let's try something else. But we can find. Show response in browser. So let's have access to the server side now. Login failed. Yeah, so we were on the login page. Show response in browser. So, okay, we have a registration part also. Let's try this one. So, intercept the packet because we're going to intercept the request over here. Yeah, the registration page. So, let's repeater, drop the packet. And over here, I have the request. So, we're going to use the X header by to get access to the registration part. And we can see, yes, we can access the registration part also with the 200 response code. Let's see, show response in browser. So we have name, email, username, password. So let's have a look. Okay, let's try our own username. So I'm going to use Lucifer username, Lucifer password, Lucifer. Then intercept the packet, login. Yes, so the password and the phrase is Lucifer, Lucifer code again. Repeater. Drop the packet. Yeah. So this execution will be held over here with the X forwarded by. So X forwarded to get access to the local server host of the main domain. Yes, 302 found, and it basically means we have created that one. So show response in browser. So let's have a look of the local server access. Let's go to the login page and get access to the Lucifer part. So let's try with the Lucifer. Intercept the packet. Login. Repeater mode. Drop the packet. And we're going to try to access the server with the local host server as per our need. So in the real life scenarios, you have to simply make your own cheat sheet. Yes, 302 found, and this is basically, see this one, index.php page is equal to dashboard user ID is equal to 26. See this one. We have a specific parameter, and we have a user dashboard also. User ID is equal to 26. So let's have an access over there. Remember one thing, to check the response code also. Through the response code, we can access the server side. But we're going to copy this one. We're going to simply use this one, send to repeater. Okay, wait. We're going to specify the URL. So that was index.php. Yes. So this was a specific URL we're going to get access. So I'm going to copy this one. On the localhost server. And we can see 200. Most of the things, if you want to check the behavior of the application, check the response code from the server side. Show response in browser. Welcome back. How are you doing? For inspiring the people. So the most important thing, you have to check all the possibilities one by one, which can be lead us for information gathering part. Let's see what else we can do. So let's try with the profile, I guess. Repeater, drop the packet, and we can access this local server with the response code header. 200. So in the 200, I can see Lucifer is over there. ID user ID .26. So I'm going to introduce you a new vulnerability also, which is called IDOR. Can anyone can explain me IDOR vulnerability? Insecure direct object reference. Insecure direct object reference, IDOR vulnerability. Remember that when I simply change the price of any of the items in the CH part, that was a part of it, parameter tampering. But IDOR is a vulnerability if an attacker or if any of the client can access any of the other resources on the web server and change the value according to his own need, there could be an IDOR vulnerability. See this one, top 25 IDOR.
Okay.
See this. compare this one. If I have a ID is equal to 26, I should be constant on that specific value. But if the attacker can change the value according to his own need, he will get a different output.
Okay.
So IDOR is a vulnerability where an attacker can simply manipulate or simply change the value according to the server side. If he can change the value according to his server side, he can, and if he's able to get the files of other users, so it could be an IDOR vulnerability also. See this one. IDOR stands for Insight Reference. It is a vulnerability in which an attacker can access sensitive information by making unauthorized reference. For example, a user would retrieve his personal and confidential data by sending a request of the following URL. See, ID is equal to 24. The request collects the user ID from the URL parameter and then display the information. But what happens when the user ID of 24 send the next request, which is your ID is equal to 11? He has an ID number 24, but he's changed his ID number to 11. If the data belonging to the user ID of 11 is written, then it's an IDOR issue. And a vulnerability like this one can occur when there is a bad weak access control implementation of it's not for all, which is your owasp top 10 broken access control. owasp top 10 gray campus. See this one. Compare all the things one by one. Broken access control. See, oh man. See this one. A broken access control occurs if a user is able to access unauthorized resources. Unauthorized resources which is specified to an individual user. This can be access to the restricted page, database, or directories, etc. Application have various accounts type depending on the user, admin, operators, and reporting groups. One more problem is that the developer restrict the privileges that has UI side is not server side. User interface. So you can see the most top 25 IDORs reports over here, and they're gonna show you the same thing. It could be anything. PayPal paid $10,000 for this one. Vimeo paid $5,000. So it's not a bug bounty website, bug bounty part, but I'm just showing you the things. So over here we can see I'm able to jump to any of the users, and I'm getting some data over there. See, if you can change the value from 2, you will see a different output. These are some sensitive informations. Yes, we have Alice, GLS. So when you're able to find any of the other users, try to manipulate those things one by one. So I'm going to use Alice over here because this machine, Alice, is the part of your journey. So as per port 22, the major objective of this machine to tell you about the IDOR vulnerability and the host header injection vulnerability. So port 22, let's try SSH Alice @ the IP address, the password, and we are in on the Alice server with the password Alice over here. Say, and for the post exploitation part, as I always mention you guys that got milk Linux. Okay. Okay, let's try with the sudo -l, and this Alice machine is basically vulnerable to sudo user right, exploiting sudo right users. So as I mentioned you before that this sudo right user is basically a part where an attacker simply target a specific user on the server side. So if the attacker can't directly get root access by any of the other techniques, he might try to compromise any of the user who have sudo access. Once he have access to any of the sudo users, he can basically execute any commands with the root privileges. An administrator might just allow the user to run a few commands through the sudo and not all of them, but even with this configuration, they introduce vulnerabilities unknowingly, which can lead for tool escalation part. So we can try sudo-l to basically check the permission which is granted by the specific user. So let's try with this one, sudo-l. Or first thing first, when you are simply get entered to the server side, just read the etc password directory, which contains all the users. Root, daemon, bin, syst, lp, nobody, system, Alice. See, Alice has 1,000 home Alice bin bash. It has a sudo user. If you try sudo-l, you can see Alice can run sudo and he can run user.php file without the root password. Sudo-l. He is able to execute any PHP code without a root permission. Attacker try various techniques to find or to escalate their privileges. So let's have a look on one of the website called GT Goblin. GT Goblin. Let's try PHP privilege escalation. Request of the Apache GTF GT 4 bins. Okay, sorry, it was 4 bins. So we can see shells, command, reverse shells, file upload, sudo. Let's try sudo. If the binary is allowed to run any super user by sudo, it does not drop the available privileges. You can simply create your own shell over there. And they have given, okay, this is a different part. Okay, so what we can do, we can try the bin.sh file. We can make a folder. PHP illustration, techniques. reverse shell. Let's do one thing. Let's go to pentest monkey, reverse shell cheat sheet. Yes, there was a PHP shell code, PHP reverse shell. So I'm going to use this one. So
What is this?
this is a PHP reverse shell, man. The pentest monkey. We can execute a reverse shell on the server side, and it will. We're gonna activate our handler. We get a connection back. So let's have a look. Let's do sudo home PHP. So we're gonna run this command with the user PHP part, and we're gonna put our IP address. It's 110 and the port number 4448. Or we can do not home, user bin, because it was user bin directory. So let's activate our nested. So that was a netcat customer code 448. So we're gonna use user bin PHP from the authority of user Alice, from the socket connection on the server side, which is our 192.168.110 on the port of 448, and execute bin sh, which is our shell interpreter. Okay, what happened over here? Sudo 192.168.110. Checking our IP address. Okay, 101 is my IP address. See, and we have a shell. Who am I? I am root. Bin bash -i. We are root on the server. Yes, got the flag. So this machine was one of the, I think, host injection plus with the your part of your IDO vulnerability.